It is January 21st in this year, 2022. Living in the future, talking about SmackDown and Rampage, a rare live Rampage tonight on TNT. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstien, joined by Alfred Konuwa and NYC Demon Diva Issa. And here we are tonight, a week away from the Royal Rumble. Woo. A week with some news, some events, some happenings, some developments.
Have you guys been practicing your countdowns to make sure that you're ready for the Royal Rumble?
That's a good tip.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah. I'm going to start doing that tonight. It'll take me about a week to get my countdown down to
memorize
the numbers first. I need to memorize the numbers from 10 to 1. So after I memorize those numbers, then I'll get the timing down.
Okay, perfect. Let me know how you do. I'll start tonight as well. Glenn, when are you
Well,
starting?
Well, you know, I made the mistake one year of having the stopwatch on my phone going and just getting very angry how they judge the length of 3 minutes the way a psychiatrist judges an hour or a lap dancer judges a song. It's very loose interpretation.
You're right about that. It's not very consistent, the time that goes between entrants.
Absolutely. And you think about that. You think about that in the champagne room as you think, I know I'm going to request November Rain. And then like 11 minutes. But no. Like 90 seconds in, like, okay, time's up. They're just fading that out. It's a scam, I tell you. Not that I know such things. I've heard on the streets.
Anyhow. Vegas. That's like the strip club capital of the world.
Is it? Right, really?
I think it's one of them. I mean, shout out the Scores. And was it Sahara? Sahara's a lot of fun.
Well, there you go.
From what I've heard.
Post-pandemic, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah. So we got some news to jump into.
We do have some news. It would be so worth the COVID, though. Internally, it looks like WWE is said to be disappointed with NXT 2.0. According to WrestleVotes, who never misses, said internally WWE said to be disappointed with NXT 2.0 in its first 4 months. Source said that they thought more fans would gravitate toward the newer stars quicker than they have. Could it just be too much too soon? Either way, I don't expect any changes to the concept. Wait for it. Just yet. Andrew Zarian also chimed in saying that NXT 2.0, they feel like maybe the abruptness of how everything was rushed out there is to blame. That's what some executives feel. NXT did 587,000 viewers this past week. That's down almost 10%. And in 18 to 49, a scary low number of 0.11, down 21%. So NXT 2.0 really hurt. And we have a lot of fun with NXT 2.0 on the show. I think it's because we have fun together. So it's easy for us to enjoy a lot of things. But at the same time, we are willing to admit, as Issa was talking about it, how she just kind of felt that it was not really delivering the way it should. So what do you guys think about this news, starting with Issa?
Yeah, I was talking about it earlier on my YouTube channel about how I love what we do because, you know, obviously I enjoy wrestling and it never feels like a job. And there are some Tuesday nights where watching NXT feels like work, you know? And like you say, we come in here and we have a lot of fun. But I have been very open and vocal about the fact that I think they're trying to introduce us to too many characters at once. And I think that also they're not booking them to win. These 50-50 bookings make you just not become invested in any of them. So I do think they need to slow down, realize which characters they want to get invested on, and really put the time and effort into those characters.
And put the title on Tony D'Angelo.
Yes.
That's really the solution to all their ratings woes. You know, I was mentioning this online today. Again, I think the new NXT, if they realize they can basically do 500,000 people just by airing anything, they outsource the TV production. They cut back every NXT contract to like $30,000 a year. And if you don't make it to the main roster in 2 years, you're out.
Wow, 2 years?
Yeah.
How are they going to live $30,000 a year for 2 years?
But they were doing that before. Before Finn Balor came into NXT, the starting pay for a Performance Center recruit was around $30,000. I think the female talents got a little bit more because, I mean, and I'm just saying this, like it literally was stipulated. Look at the article. I think it might have been Forbes a couple of years ago that broke this. Female talents got more because they had more makeup, hair costs, things like that. So, yeah, I mean, you look at this. If what they were doing before wasn't sustainable, and that's part of the reason why they made the change, you got to figure Adam Cole, there were some guys in there that were probably making main roster money. If they can get this down to 20 men and 10 women at $30,000 a year each, outsource TV, this all of a sudden becomes insanely profitable for them. And they're able to get some revenue, which they were never able to really do with FCW or OVW. But it makes it attractive on the balance sheet, and it brings it back to pure developmental. Because I think the problem before that they may have realized was that with contracts coming up, it was going to be very expensive if they're going to have to essentially have NXT compete with AEW for contract renewals and that kind of money going forward. That completely changes the equation for how much cash NXT is burning.
Yeah, and this is really also a creative problem. Like, let's just face it, Vince and Bruce were never going to be the answer. I think once we started seeing the writing on the wall during NXT 1.0 and its dying days, I don't think anybody was really excited at the prospects that NXT 2.0 was going to be better. I felt like making it more like the main roster and doing what they've done with showing so many people's stories that you just forget them, I think that's a mistake. And I think that if they would have come to Triple H while he was running NXT 1.0, because, yeah, we have these fond memories of NXT 1.0, but I have a lot of criticisms as well, particularly it just got too indie for its own good. They were trying to out-indie the best indie in the world, which is AEW. And they were doing this. And if they would have come to Triple H and said, listen, Triple H, we need you to make it more mainstream. We need you. And they gave him all these ideas. I think he would have done a better job at curating NXT to a different era, but not necessarily run it in the ground the way we're seeing it right now.
And if it hadn't been Wednesday, if they hadn't moved to Wednesday on TV, if they would have gone to Tuesday to start with, I think it would have helped. I think trying to go head to head was a big, big mistake.
Yes.
Agreed.
Carrillo's saying, Glenn said it first, outsource NXT to Impact.
Yeah, I thought that's where you're going with it.
No, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be Impact, but I'm saying it makes no sense for them to hire. Think of all that overhead they have to have. If you're spending $1 million on your creative staff alone or more, I'm sure, I mean, you know, those contracts add up. I mean, you think Road Dogg and, you know, all the Triple H hires, you think those guys were making minimal salaries? They're probably making more than a lot of the talent is. So I don't know. I think they've got to look at the finances of this to find a way to make it sustainable. Not sustainable in the sense of they can afford it, because WWE can afford anything. They could subsidize this till the end of the earth. But what I'm saying is Nick Khan, now that he's got his hand in things, it's about the dollars and cents and the shareholders. And that's a much different equation. King Rail, $2. They fired and let go talent. What did they expect of people not liking the change? It's just, isn't it weird when you think about pre-AEW Dynamite, how NXT was the darling of the internet wrestling community? And then AEW out NXT.
Yeah, they did. And to King Rail's point, I'm surprised that some of the talent they let go were in middle of storylines, which that to me is mind blowing, because that makes you change your booking on the go. And, you know, we're seeing it now that there's a lot of people that they probably didn't have plans for, and they're just winging it.
But there are some people on TV that, I'm sorry, Von Wagner, Brooks and Dunn. There's quite a few performers on there. I mean, even to a sense, like, is LA Knight really popping any ratings? Is Grayson Waller getting people to tune in and week out? If I were them, I would really rebuild the show around the talent that, forget popping the audience, because that audience is like almost supportive to a fault at times. Like, they really need to do the research on who people want to watch on television. And remember that first and foremost, they're making a TV show.
Yeah. And I would like if there was one thread throughout an entire show where it wasn't just one vignette after another, one segment after another. They really need to try to shake up their storytelling. And this is something that Vince is very familiar with, especially throughout the Attitude Era. This is how a lot of Raws were formatted, where there's one central storyline that takes you through the entire show, and it kind of resurfaces in like 3 or 4 segments, so that there's less to chew on in NXT.
And they messed up because they had a very natural, massive faction storyline that they essentially blew off in War Games. They could have had Black and Gold versus 2.0 and kept that going with having locker room size factions, giving every match those stakes, battling for the heart of soul of NXT, and then essentially figuring out who from each era was getting over more, and then rebuilding the show around them. Instead, tonight, we're getting TV promos for Gunter.
Who?
You wouldn't know him. He's from Germany.
Okay.
But do they think that's going to turn things around? I mean, I just don't understand. I don't get it, man.
Well, WarnerMedia, so WWE officials aren't the only ones who are upset because AEW officials are also upset. WarnerMedia officials are furious about WWE's comments from last week about AEW being gory self-mutilation. Of course, Max Caster made a reference to that in a freestyle on Dynamite the other night. And WarnerMedia officials are saying that they saw WWE's quote as an attempt at a personal attack against the company in an attempt to hurt their advertising sales. I think that personal attack thing is hilarious. I don't know what personal about it, but what do you guys feel about WWE's personal attack about AEW's blood and guts and the ongoing back and forth, starting with you, Glenn?
I mean, this is more entertaining than a lot of what we see on TV. It's fun to watch billion-dollar corporations get their feelings hurt and fight with each other. Right? I mean, look, the fact that Warner even cares and I don't know, just all this. I mean, we have a good competition going. I think it speaks back to the idea though. It's like, okay, how do we have this great competition going with all this fire and people dissecting and talking about this stuff? And WWE is not managing to capitalize on it. Whereas AEW, I think now that they're on TBS, their ratings are poised for quite a pop. It's a weird time.
I think WWE knows what they're doing with those comments. They're gonna go after the advertising. I mean, that's probably, if I'm a billionaire, yeah, we'll see that as a personal attack because now you're hurting my pocket if some people don't want to advertise during my show. I get where they're coming from, but I mean, I like it. I like the street fights. I like all that. But it's not for everyone. As long as they don't do it too often, I don't think AEW should just be worried about it because they're not in the same business as WWE is. They themselves say, "Oh, we're here for professional wrestling, this and that. They're sports entertainment." So you're not going to get the same advertisement that WWE gets because they are kid friendly. Where you go to an AEW show, you barely see any children there, and that's a fact. I've been to a lot, and it's a whole different audience than a WWE audience. So they should not be bothered by those comments, in my opinion.
Well, and looking at the quality of advertisers, I feel like there are higher profile, more credible ads that I see during Dynamite and Rampage than I see during Raw and SmackDown. Now, granted, on SmackDown, I am watching it like through the Fox app. Tonight, I got a Nissan Frontier ad served to me 20 times, many times back to back to back. But on Raw, I mean, when you're doing stuff for like lowest common denominator, prepaid wireless, car insurance, anti-smoking ads, like that's not the cream of the advertising crop. And
no, Glenn, I think you're absolutely right. I think the cream of advertising is having a pizza ad while somebody's getting their forehead cut open with a pizza cutter. That is going all in for your advertisement.
That's one instance that we saw where Domino's was not very happy with that Nick Gage match, not very happy with them being represented in that light, and it did hurt their advertising sales. And I think, there's much being made about people bringing up receipts and, what about the time WB? The fact is, this is a very tactical maneuver. This is WWE realizing that one of the ways they do have an advantage over AEW is way more women watch WWE. They have a way bigger share of women than AEW does. And whenever AEW does this blood and gut stuff, it completely turns off women. Almost to the second. They did the Britt Baker Thunder Rosa match that is iconic, and I loved it, and a lot of people loved it. It turned off women. The Nick Gage match, women drove them away. And WWE, trust me, they realize this. And so they're just going to paint AEW as, even though, they don't do it all the time, but if you paint AEW as the blood and guts company, women are not going to want to watch it. And the ratings are not going to, the advertisers are not going to be as prevalent. So they're specifically choosing this blood and guts thing because this is not the first time Vince McMahon has said this. And AEW being smartasses and saying, we're going to do a blood and guts pay-per-view. It's playing right into what WWE wants you to do. They want you to brand yourself as a blood and guts company so women can run for the hills.
But WWE also does really well with women because they spent 10 years cultivating a Total Divas franchise. And cultivating a female audience. I mean, AEW, it's gotten better, but it still ain't there.
Yeah, and that's what AEW will need to do. The WWE did not spend the last 10 years having women cut each other's faces open. They spent the 10 years with Total Divas, the Bella Army. The Bellas don't get nearly as much credit for really helping to be a big draw for women. And as long as they have that advantage, they're going to try to keep it as wide as possible, I think.
No, it's true. Carlos saying WWE should allow their talent to be able to work other promotions. It lowers the price of the contracts. The talent can be spread out throughout. I think in NXT, telling you, if NXT's ratings don't turn around, I think they are going to really change how they do business. I'm not even just talking about them outsourcing. I think it's going to be a different ball game if they can't figure out a way, and yeah, if 500,000 people keep watching every week, they'll just give USA programming and they'll just do it at the rock bottom cost.
Yeah.
You're right.
So our final story, Mustafa Ali requested his release very publicly last week on Twitter, and it was recently reported that Mustafa Ali will not be granted his release by WWE. He's got 1 year left on his contract and is not very happy with how he's been used. Of course, you could see it on TV. The whole retribution angle tanked, and they did this tag team with him and Mansoor that flamed out. And Mustafa Ali is so talented. I really recommend everybody follow him on Twitter because he's quickly becoming one of my favorite follows because he's been spending a lot of his free time working out new moves. He did this reverse sharpshooter that, if he did that in a live arena at a WWE event, people go crazy for it. And he's so talented, and he knows he's talented, but he's just not getting those opportunities. Had a heated argument with Vince McMahon about an angle that Vince wanted him to do that reportedly led to this requesting the release. And now it looks like he's stuck in WWE for another year, Issa.
I really hope they don't make him sit this out. I have this fear, and I hope that's not what happens, because we've seen them do that before. They did it to Neville. Neville left in somewhat of a non-happy situation, and they just made him sit out for the remainder of his contract. Mustafa Ali is very, very talented, completely underutilized, and you don't even have to get your creative team. Mustafa Ali is talented enough that you said, okay, what do you want to do? Hear him out, because we've seen him create these promo videos, like everything on his Twitter he was doing during 205 Live. I know he could come up with a great storyline for his character. I just hope that it either works out or somebody just realizes that they are not meant for each other and just let him go, because it's just not, you're not using him. Why not let him go if that's what he wants? If you're realizing that he's talented, then prove it to him.
Yeah. Just got to craft that right tweet, Ali. Just got to send out that right tweet.
Yeah.
Did you see his tweet today? The picture of the Joker burning the money, which gave me the impression that maybe they offer him more money, and he was like, "That's not what I'm after." That's what I got out of that.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, he needs to strategize. There's ways you can get yourself fired from WB now. So all he needs is just come up with something and see what happens.
Yeah.
Not that I'm recommending that. I'm just, I just want what's best for
Alfred, sure.
I want him to be happy, and I know he'd be happy if he got released. So
okay, a random burner account is gonna slide in at least DMs tonight and say exactly the tweet that he needs to craft. Yeah. And it's totally it's at totally not Alfred. That's
this is dirty.
Carol's with the super chat saying they have plans for the Saudi show. Ali, maybe you could tweet some thoughts on the Saudi show.
That's what I'm saying, man. As a Muslim man, you know what I'm saying? Like, they'll get rid of you quick. You do that.
But if he does that take back how proud he was that him and Mansoor were able to have a match in Saudi Arabia at the last pay-per-view? Because he tweeted a lot about how proud he was of that.
Yeah, he could babyface it though and talk about his love for the people, but his criticisms. This is just me putting words in his mouth. But his love for the people, but his criticisms of the government and WWE, like kind of secondhandedly endorsing some of their actions by doing business with them. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, Issa. I'm just spitballing ideas.
I get it. Also, not Glenn Rubenstien is also going to slide.
Twitter has a account name limit. That's why we are not Yellow Jackets Buzz on Twitter. We're Yellow Jackets BZ. There's a length limit. Anyhow, is that all for the news?
That's your news, everybody.
Oh, speaking of Yellow Jackets, one of the Bollywood boys played the bartender at the high school reunion in the season finale.
Really? I gotta have to go back and look
Yes.
at that. That's awesome.
Yes, I did know that.
Yeah, I have to get him on for an
I've
interview.
also rewatched that episode way too many times.
Way too many times.
It's great.
Make it some animated. Yeah.
So Alfred, we're not going to talk about Bully Ray. I think you both owe me an apology. Just
we can talk about that. Let's bring it up real quick. Bully Ray had some comments saying that he thought John Moxley should have apologized to AEW fans during his promo this past Wednesday on Dynamite. A lot of people are pissed off, including Paige. Of course, Moxley's wife, Renee Paquette, tweeted that she didn't think that was a cool comment. Mick Foley was not in agreement. A lot of people coming for Bully Ray right now for some very questionable comments about John Moxley, who struggled with alcoholism and is coming back after 3 months and just had this really great, poignant promo about his demons. Bully Ray didn't think that was enough, thought he should have apologized. Does that piss you off, Issa?
Slightly, yes. I feel like he started talking and he just kept digging himself deeper. I don't know that that's where he was trying to go with that, but that's where he ended. Because he made it sound like, first of all, he said that if it was him in that situation, he would have started the promo apologizing if he let them down. And I'm sitting here thinking, as a fan, I don't think Mox will let anybody down. I think everybody feels very proud of him for just being open about his demons and his issues and going to take care of himself. I didn't like the comment. I do think that he kept talking himself out of it and just ended up making it worse. But the way that he made it sound, it just sounds like everybody that needs time off should apologize. So I'm assuming Kenny Omega needs to apologize when he comes back. Everybody that's taking time off needs to apologize, basically.
Very, very weird. I think you can fantasy book and script a lot of things in professional wrestling, but you do not get to script somebody's explanations, reasons, and return from something that is so personal to them.
Yeah. I thought Moxley's promo was great.
It's very strange. Very strange. Well, tonight, SmackDown live from Nashville. That's Music City. And
SummerSlam.
Oh, yeah. Wait, really? SummerSlam?
Yeah, I might go out there. That sounds like it'll be fun.
Yeah, I think I'm going to make it out there, too. That should be a fun one.
Very interesting. So we really opened tonight with setting up the main event and setting up a story for the main event, something so important for the main event, so many stakes for the main event, so many things that made perfect sense in the main event based on who won and who lost. And Alfred, do you think the ending of that main event was consistent with the story they were trying to tell?
I do not. I thought this was very, very, very poorly done and kind of deflating for a finish of a match.
The entire evening hinged on this.
Yeah. Okay, but if we're talking about just the opening segment, right? Let's all pretend we haven't seen how we didn't let it play out. Okay, we're seeing just these first 15 minutes of SmackDown. I thought they were solid. I like the celebration. I like the acknowledgement ceremony. The video package was great. We should play that video package every week in honor of Roman Reigns. Then Seth Rollins interrupting and mentioning Mox on WWE television by the name Moxley, which I thought was, brave of him. And then I personally popped when Kevin Owens came out and he said, "I like him."
Yeah, he screamed it.
Yeah, Kevin Owens is such a gem because, he kept saying nobody likes him. I thought Pat McAfee was excellent in this entire segment. Like every time he interrupted, it was just to drop a gem. I like that they put a stipulation behind it because they don't do that often enough. I wish they would have gone through with it and not ended in a DQ, but I like the fact that they give you something to keep watching the show for.
So they set up tonight based on who won the match, the main event between the Usos versus Rollins and Owens, that if Seth had lost, he was not going to get his title shot from Roman Reigns.
And Roman Reigns was going to go on a vacation to WrestleMania. So I would like to talk to him about Puerto Rico. Just saying.
Yeah.
So that was one end of it. And the other end was that if the Usos lost, they were going to be barred from ringside, therefore making it a fully fair and even match without a chance of shenanigans.
Right.
So the ending of this show, like just mind-bogglingly, like just stupid.
Yes.
In terms of why would Roman Reigns cause a DQ, thus ensuring that Rollins, one, gets his title shot and he cannot go visit you in Puerto Rico, Issa. And two, that the Usos are going to be barred from ring. This makes less than no sense.
Punch one of your cousins. Punch one of your cousins, bro. Then, it was dumb. It was dumb. It was.
Why not just like distract the referee? Why did he go straight for the referee in terms of getting the disqualification? Why not just distract or try some elaborate scheme to turn the match around? This didn't make any sense.
And didn't this recently happen to Seth Rollins? I'm sorry, Glenn. Didn't this happen to Seth Rollins in a storyline not too long ago where he couldn't get DQ'd and he got DQ'd? I know what I
to build
you
up
know what
the
I'm
day
talking
one
about.
pay-per-view. Yeah, to get added to the day one pay-per-view. They were doing that a couple weeks in a row.
Yes, and he the Kevin Owens, when Kevin Owens got added, he made Seth Rollins attack him, so he won by DQ. Like, how many times are we gonna do this in such a short period of time?
I hate it.
Did I miss a backstage promo? Did somebody say to Roman, like, oh, good thing your cousins are going to beat him tonight, so, you're not going to have to face him? And Roman's like, why do you think I'm afraid of facing him? I want to go on vacation. I'm like, I'm just saying it's a good thing you don't have to. And then he was like, I'll show you. Like, they could have explained this.
Yeah, you joke like that, but that's exactly what this needed. The fact that we went from that opening segment to this does feel like something got left out. Like, why the hell would Roman Reigns get himself disqualified, get his team disqualified based on what we've been told that is at stake for this match?
And he could have caused a DQ to the Usos and punched the one cousin that accepted the challenge, because they did this, like, he gave him the dirtiest look when the Uso... I'm sorry, I still can't tell them apart. But when the one Uso accepted the challenge, he gave him like the dirtiest look. Like, why are you accepting my challenges? So the story was there. I like Glenn's version better, where he's just like, oh, you're too scared to face him. Regardless, when we got to the main event, it made 0 sense what went down. And I didn't like it because, like, the only thing that you have going that looks good and strong is Roman, and you completely just didn't make him look like the smartest guy out there today.
And the main event was really good. That was a really good match that I would have really liked to have seen a winner on that match. And Rollins, if he's going to face Roman, who we all assume he's probably not beating, Rollins getting a decisive win would have helped his credibility going into that. It was just like very puzzling storytelling. Also, I had this thought, and I can't believe it's been like 5 years, right? That the Usos have been coming out to Down since day one-ish. I always thought they meant it like day one-ish, like around day one. But do they mean it like in the 90s R&B hip-hop way when it's really like shit reversed, like down since day one shit? Yeah. Or do they mean down since like around day one?
It's double entendre. It's like a Blackish, like the show Blackish. It's like black,
I hadn't even thought of that.
And then also on the spectrum of blackness, because they're in the suburbs or whatnot. So it's both kind of playing with that word. That's a great question, Glenn. But it's like a double entendre.
And the fashion police with my day one, May Your Day One BH has always, that has always stuck with me.
God, I miss those guys.
Oh, I miss that. Like, why? Why did they get dropped? Like they could be saving NXT right now. I want to see the Fashion Police versus Tony D'Angelo. Handicap match. Carlos, freaking fighters, Owens and Seth Raw for a tag team. Also, frickin', if you're afraid that freaking sounds too much like fucking, frickin' sounds way more like the F word than freaking does.
Yeah, the eek really sets it apart.
Yeah, freaking is, I think, very acceptable. Frickin'? Frick's like, I don't know. I would have gotten in trouble if I would have said frickin' as a kid. Like, that would have been like, oh, that's too close.
Yeah, writing it too far up there, yeah.
Yeah. And then the question, do you think Rollins wins clean at the Rumble? Matthew Tech, Canadian $2.
No. Okay, I don't think he wins clean. I'm a little nervous. Actually, I'm pretty nervous he's going to win. And if he does, it'll be by outside interference. Because now Roman doesn't have outside interference. So that gives Seth Rollins the opportunity to maybe Kevin Owens comes in. Maybe Mox comes in. He got a couple of shout outs tonight. What do you think about that? Maybe Mox comes in and saves Seth Rollins and we get a Shield reboot. But no, I do expect
Alfred, stop it. Get some help.
2 Mox references tonight. And they called him Mox. They didn't call him Dean Ambrose. They called him Mox twice.
Given what's happening with Mickie James and my new started as a joke now conspiracy theory about them having a relationship with Impact, I think Braun Strowman comes back looking super jacked, interferes, and gets in another feud with Roman.
Wow, that could be interesting. But I mean,
no,
isn't that too early to do that now? Yeah, I don't know if now would be the time to do that.
So here, I know Alfred is sharing his bad feelings. What I have a feeling is going to happen is that whether Roman or Brock, if one of them drops the title at the Rumble, that person is entering the Rumble and winning it.
Yeah, that's
1000%. If you see a title change hands, whether it's Brock or Roman, then you already know who's gonna win the Rumble.
If Roman Reigns wins the Royal Rumble, say that 5 times fast.
Please come in at 30 and troll again.
It's such a disappointing ending. Like when Brock won, it was, I just don't.
Disappointing ending.
Because
I don't know about if Roman Reigns entered the Rumbles and wins, that's a happy ending for me, Glenn.
Roman should be in the main event of WrestleMania anyhow. Like you don't need to give away that opportunity. It's like, why not have him win the Money in the Bank briefcase?
Oh, and give it to who then? Johnny Knoxville? Please, then you might as well have Roman win.
Johnny Knoxville is more over than almost everyone else on that roster.
That's what I'm saying, man. Listen, people want to call me crazy. I've been saying this for weeks now. You name me one person on television, if you're going into WWE programming clean and you don't watch the week-to-week storylines, you name me one person who's being pushed to win the Royal Rumble more than Johnny Knoxville. Who's cut a promo?
Rey Mysterio. He's in the cover of the game. He pushed his son over the top rope. I gotta tell you something, Alfred. I am one of the people calling you crazy. And then tonight, I opened the WWE shop, and the first face I see is Johnny Knoxville, and I'm like, damn it, he's gonna mess around and win the whole thing. Alfred is right. I'm gonna have to freaking buy him a drink or something.
This is like Glenn likes to say, like, you make these crazy predictions, you throw something against the wall, and nobody will remember if you're wrong, but if you're right, you look like a genius. I'm starting to feel more and more like I might be made to look like a genius with this crazy prediction. Because this guy
you even made a YouTube channel, a YouTube video. You put this in history just in case you're right.
Yes, YouTube Pro Wrestling Bits. I have a piece about all the reasons I think Johnny Knoxville might mess around and win the Royal Rumble. Get ready for the apocalypse, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not the worst idea.
You're right. He's over. I mean, that opening riff of Jackass is so iconic, and it's such a perfect pro wrestling theme because the best themes have that opening thing that gets you into it, and that banjo. Everybody popped for that in Nashville.
Carollo's saying, and I feel like I pronounce his name different every time. I apologize. I'm tired. Saying Damian Priest for Royal Rumble winner. He drops the U.S. title.
No. Criollos is how I like to call him. What's going to happen is Damian Priest is going to win the Rumble, win a second belt, and he's going to defend one as Damian and the other one as Priest. One as a babyface, one as a heel. That's my theory for Damian Priest. If Alfred wants to make crazy theories, it's my turn now.
You should get to pronounce every name. I always just feel so Anglo. Like the other day when we were talking to Alexa Barajas, and I can't hit it as hard because it reminds me of like when Obama would always say like Nicaragua, and he would really lean into it.
Nicaragua.
Yeah, and it was just like it just feels like I'm putting on an affect.
You're asking the person whose English is a second language to pronounce things in the podcast. You are tired, buddy.
No, I think that's great. I want to go. I just want everyone to know I want to go full bore with it, but I feel like I'm not quite comfortable with it. I don't feel it comes across correctly.
Did you know that I learned how to curse in English because of Marshall Mathers, Eminem, and listening to his amazing music?
My favorite rapper, Eminem.
That Super Bowl, he steals the show in that Super Bowl.
That trailer is amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah.
He's so good in that. So because I refuse to acknowledge that this character in these segments exist, I'm just going to say that Kofi Kingston tonight was joined by Big E.
Yeah.
And Kofi beat Madcap Moss.
50-50.
Can we talk about, I'm sorry, Alfred, but can we talk about Michael Cole trying to justify why were there so many people from Raw on SmackDown tonight? Like Michael Cole, it's Friday, we're drinking. You don't have to try to justify that you guys don't know what the hell you're doing out there. Like, we get it. It's okay, buddy. Because apparently it's Royal Rumble season, now they're allowed on a different brand.
Yeah.
What are the rules? Somebody needs to write the rules for when people are allowed on each other's shows.
I think that we need someone to come out and promo and say the rules are there are no rules, which we don't hear enough. Growing up, we used to hear that a lot. We don't hear that so much anymore.
Well, I mean, they do have a built-in excuse for that quarterly brand invitational. They could have just said that.
That's worse. That's actually worse.
I forgot about that, Alfred. Thanks.
Wild card rule. That was another one.
Yeah.
I mean-
are we like concerned for Big E? Did you know? Okay. I've got flashbacks of when Kofi dropped the title and he just went right back to the New Day and nobody really cared about the fact that he was a former WWE champion. When I saw him walk out with Kofi today, I felt that. Like, okay, we're just going to be the happy New Day again and we're going to forget that you just had a title reign.
I mean, there's a term for it. I call it being Kofi'd. Like Big E is being Kofi'd, just like Bianca Belair got Kofi'd, just like Kofi Kingston got Kofi'd. It's funny how it always seems to happen to one type of person, but I'm keeping a very close watch on Big E, and I want to see him back in that world title picture sooner rather than later. He should be, at minimum, Final Four Royal Rumble.
Can we not turn it into a verb?
I know, it sucks.
It does.
Do you think that Bobby Lashley beats Brock?
He might. I really like what you said about the loser winning the Royal Rumble one. I would much rather have the scenario of Bobby Lashley beating Big E, and then Bobby Lashley beating Brock Lesnar, and then Brock Lesnar winning the Royal Rumble. It's been a long time since Brock has
because
won the Royal
then
Rumble.
and that puts you back on the route that you were originally with before you took this weird detour at day one, which is Roman and Brock again.
Yes.
Because I would assume that Brock will go right back to Roman. He's still gonna call out Bobby Lashley. So I don't want Brock to lose. You know how much I love Brock Lesnar, but I feel like that will make more sense than Roman dropping the Universal title.
Me too. I would have no problem with that. And I'm very much looking forward to Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. See, WWE does this better than anybody in the world in terms of making these video packages. Even
the
though
video
it's hard to
package
get to
on
the TV.
Monday.
Yes, Monday's video package was out of this world. It was WrestleMania caliber good between Brock and
was
Bobby
the
Lashley.
best thing on the whole show. I was telling people, like, go watch the freaking video package. Like, and maybe it's because I've been waiting for this match for 20 years. Like Bobby Lashley said, like, this is a match I've been wanting to see for a long time. And I feel like they are finally taking into consideration that there's a lot of people wanting to see this match, and they did such an excellent job at hyping it up. I know we never talk Raw, and we're lucky that we don't have to watch it, but I love that video package.
Absolutely. It's very amazing.
Caruso saying wild card Riddle wins the Royal Rumble.
Bro.
That'd be interesting. I don't know if that's happening. That's
and then he calls out Brock Lesnar. You know, long-term booking.
Get that backstage storyline in front of the camera.
It could happen. It could happen. Really, Riddle and Goldberg. That should be Goldberg's last contracted match.
I like to see that too.
Yeah. I don't think Goldberg's a fan of the idea, but could be good. Aaliyah versus Natalya tonight, with Aaliyah winning by DQ.
Yeah.
And then Zia Lee, the Protector, comes out, and the overlay graphics don't look quite as cool when they're not perfectly synced up to the hand movements.
Yeah. A lot
Excellent observation, Glenn.
Because the first time, it was one of the best. It was one of the high points of SmackDown all last year. Tonight, it was a little like, ooh, okay, this is just a little to the left, just a little off.
And where the hell has she been since this very sporadic usage?
Protecting.
Kind of say
Protecting.
the same
I
thing.
was gonna say
She's protecting.
Vigilante shit.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There's potential there.
Question. Is there?
They're not doing anything.
Is there, Alfred?
No, I do
you
think so.
Okay, let me ask you. No. Let me ask you something. Is Aaliyah related to the landlord?
I thought she was on Aaliyah's side tonight. I thought she was coming out to protect her. Maybe Natalya. Maybe the Hart family had some real estate holdings.
They don't have that detail.
Did any of them ever wrestle in like? Yeah, you're right. But I'm just saying, we need to get back to this landlord storyline.
I'd like that.
Oh fuck.
I know that was gonna pop good when I brought that back up.
And this was okay. I like seeing Big E and Kofi, and then we went to feud of the year so far. I know the year's young, but feud of the year is Los Lotharios versus the Viking Raiders. I mean,
oh man,
come on.
One of these four men might win the Royal Rumble.
No, please stop.
Which
Stop.
gimmick
Your
is
picks for Royal Rumble. I cannot wait to do our predictions next Friday because I don't know what you're going to throw out there.
Okay, yeah. We'll have fun with that.
Is anyone in the chat, is anyone in the world a fan of Los Lotharios? In English, that's the Lotharios. Or the Viking
Wow,
Raiders?
what a translation.
I just think
Great
it's
job.
very important to let people know what it means. Or the Viking Raiders. Like, is anyone tuning into this show? Better yet, is anyone tuning into the show and be like, Madcap Moss is my dude. And I bust a gut every time listening to him. Like, I think here's my take on professional wrestling. You know, every comic book that somebody buys is somebody's first comic
Oh, God.
that they're buying. Every episode of Raw or SmackDown is somebody's first exposure to watching wrestling. In fact, when you're flipping channels, you might even say that this match tonight was somebody's first wrestling match that they ever saw. And I think it's important to just look at, like, what's the appeal? What are we seeing? Because in the Attitude Era, I loved Scotty 2 Hotty and Albert.
Yeah.
They were probably my favorite act on the show. Granted, it was for like a week, but the worm was over, man.
Yeah,
You
very
know?
strong mid card. The New Age Outlaws too.
And that's what I'm saying. You need to look at everyone on your roster and just say, is this somebody's favorite act? Is this somebody tuning in for this? Is this somebody's top 3? Like, oh my God, if I don't see the Viking Raiders tonight, well then why even bother watching SmackDown? And this is not
their parent
this is
or
maybe.
wife.
Okay, so maybe. Okay, and this is not an indictment, by the way, against Madcap Moss or the Viking Raiders or Los Lotharios. This isn't their fault. They are talented performers. They are gifted athletes in the ring. They've spent a lot of time working on their craft, on their physique, on their technique. But creative has not met them halfway. Across the sky, as Kenny Loggins would sing. They have not come to give them something to enhance what they've done for themselves. And
Right.
on behalf of, like, all of the professional wrestling community, I want to apologize to these performers for the shortcomings that WWE has had in providing them with worthwhile, meaningful moments on television.
That was beautiful.
It really was, because I mean, these are very talented individuals. The Viking Raiders, particularly outside of WWE as War Machine. I mean, even when they went to NXT, they were very, very over, and they did a great job showcasing these two very athletic big men. And then Los Lotharios, particularly Angel Garza, when he was in NXT, he was amazing. Where he had the gimmick where he ripped his pants off, and he was such a good heel. Had an incredible match with Leo Rush when they were in NXT, and they really made the most of him. And now, yeah, it's just a morass in the way creative treats them. It's really unfortunate.
And he was hanging with the Bachelorette for a while.
Yeah, they were doing something with him early on in the roster. Those were the pandemic days. I remember that.
She was never the Bachelorette. She was just part of the cast of The Bachelor.
Oh, really? Not even the Bachelorette. We couldn't even get the title character from an installment of the Bachelor franchise. We had to get a contestant from The Bachelor. Not as impressive. Wow. And Issa, what did you say when we first started talking? What do you call?
They're Menudo rejects. Menudo rejects. Both of them.
Couldn't even get in like the early 90s era, Menudo. Couldn't even get an MDO when they did the name change.
Nope. MDO. Oh my God. Please don't talk about it. No.
That was some Vince McMahon shit, that the manager of Menudo sold the rights to the name Menudo and then just announced to the fans and got a new group and said, now we're known as MDO. And to the people that bought the rights, have fun with the name Menudo.
Jesus.
Yeah. Carlos saying, I would prefer Lashley loses to Brock, then enters Royal Rumble and wins it, then goes against Roman. What a dream match.
We've seen it. And I remember Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns had a great match that Lashley won.
Yeah.
Stellar Justin Lopez, $4.99. Finished binging Ozark at 8:30, Glenn. Instead of turning to SmackDown, I just said, F it, let me rewatch certain episodes again.
Wow. I hear good things about Ozark. I hear if you like Succession, you'll like Ozark.
But have you watched Yellow Jackets, Stellar Justin Lopez? Come on.
Justin has. Justin's part of the Hive on Twitter.
He told me he didn't like Misty, which I was like, wow. I
How
know.
dare
I know.
you, Justin?
I
Oh,
know.
God.
Sorry. Totally exposed Taylor Justin Lopez right here, right now.
Ozark is a show for people that thought Breaking Bad was too upbeat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That
Oh,
dark.
great.
Huh?
Then I might like it. Okay.
Yeah. I'll check
It
that
is
out.
it's very good, but it is a dark show. I don't even know what Monkey Armada is saying, but Islands in the Stream. Yes. I just agree with that. You know, for the longest time as a child, I thought Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers were married.
Oh, really? Oh, I can see that.
That was my headcanon, you know? Just what I grew up believing, and I make no apologies for
I
it.
thought Sonny and Cher were brother and sister.
That's a more interesting take.
I like that. I like that.
So, we saw Summer Rae tonight. That was
Yeah,
nice
we
to see her
did.
on TV.
Remember when she slapped Natty on Total Divas?
Yeah, that was so fake.
That was such a classic moment.
And we had a WWE Hall of Famer in the audience tonight.
Who?
You can
Kid
leave us
Rock.
hanging?
Kid
Oh,
Rock.
yeah. Kid Rock. What an opening.
Fresh
It
off
took
his
me a
Kid
sec.
Fresh off his Kid Rock parody video that he released like 6 weeks ago. Man, like was he ever cool? Like I was into Devil Without a Cause. I liked his early hip hop stuff.
He
Yeah.
was. I mean, people act like him and Limp Bizkit weren't. They like for
They
oh yeah, that's so
weren't.
dumb.
You
Let me
totally-
tell you something. When they were on and in their primes in what was it, early 2000s, they
Yes.
were like some of the hottest things in music.
I love Kid Rock's Cowboy. Only
Yeah.
God knows why. He got so deep in that song. Come on, give the man. I mean, after that, he wasn't all that cool. But Devil Without a Cause, you have a couple of those songs on your playlist. I do.
Let me
Rest
tell you, Limp Bizkit's Break Stuff, one of the greatest workout
Yes.
songs of all time.
I concur. Like it's art, but no, and rest in peace to Joe C. Speaking of Kid Rock. But yeah, he was in the audience tonight. They didn't do a segment with him. He was just there, just hanging out in Nashville.
Yeah, that was weird. They showed him, and I'm like, okay, so they're doing something with Kid Rock. Nope, he's just chilling.
Yeah. So before I ever heard the Kid Rock Sheryl Crow duet picture, I had a friend who described the song to me in detail, described the plot of the song Picture to me, and then she gave me the twist at the end. Like, like then at the end they look at the picture and they decide to get back together. But she described it beat by beat. Like this was the most moving story she had heard in ages and just needed to tell me about it. She could have just
Probably
played
because
the
of the
song.
music video. Back then, music videos were cool,
Yeah.
Yes. So the Viking Raiders won that match. Then Charlotte Flair versus Naomi. But wouldn't you know it, Sonya Deville found a way to pull some shenanigans, acting as the ref during the match. Naomi would have won.
You know how you refuse to cover the Madcap Moss segments? I'm getting to that point with these.
You know what? Okay, my take on this, I'm done with this storyline. I do not want to talk about this until they do whatever, until Naomi gets her win, because this is ridiculous. They've really lost the plot with this. Naomi has been made to look like a fool. This is exactly what we were talking about would just happen anyway. That's why I was so disappointed that they booked Naomi to be all happy she was getting this rematch, as if you didn't think, fool me once, fool me twice. What about fool me 27 times, Naomi? Like, this is horrible what they're doing. They had something going early in the storyline where they really could have leaned into the racial overtones of the storyline they were doing, but now it's just completely gone. And I have no words for this storyline. I have no more words for this feud.
And
So
it's a repeat. They did the same thing with Shayna Baszler, where she made her face Shayna Baszler and then she was the referee. Like, what are we doing here?
So here's my question. Are they doing this match next Friday so Naomi can be in the Rumble on Saturday?
That should have been, if they were telling a story, the stakes should have been if you beat Sonya Deville or beat somebody, you get in the Rumble, and then Sonya screws her out of the Rumble or whatever. But I don't know why they're doing this match. WWE is not explaining that. And it's just very unrealistic. Let me tell you something right now. Not to speak for all black women. 99% of the black women in my life would have been quit. So to see this, I already know this is fake. They've got black women writers in WWE who might be rolling their eyes about what's going on over here. They really need to kind of amp up the storytelling here because I don't like it. I liked it at first. You remember how excited I was early on when they were doing the Karen thing, but now it's just another dumb WWE storyline.
Yeah, and I personally see them doing this on Friday. I feel like the Royal Rumble, if you want to give Seth and Roman and Brock and Lashley some time with the Rumbles and you have Becky match as well, you already got a couple of too many matches there. You don't want it to be too long because these Rumble matches go on for a while.
They do. I don't know. To me, this should be a big pay-per-view match, but are they going to do some shenanigans Friday to move it to Saturday? And then maybe they're both in the Rumble together, and then they delay the inevitable. But like I said, I want 2 hours. I want 2 hours of Naomi just going, like, not just in the ring, just verbally. Like,
we get a roast segment.
We get, yes, absolutely. They bring in Steve Carell as Michael Scott to give Sonya Deville some sensitivity training, perhaps. There's a lot they could do with this.
NBC Universal tie-in. You think NBC Universal would work with Fox to produce Michael Scott? I don't know. These two networks don't really like each other.
Hey, if it's on Peacock, it could be a special. No, I don't want to say I'm over caring about this because I'm ride or die for Naomi, and I want to see her come out of this and get some momentum into something truly worthy of her talent. But man, they're making it hard.
Yes.
Like, this did not need to be a Lord of the Rings length saga to get to this point. It's been a bit much. So after that, where clearly Naomi should have won, but she didn't even tap, and then Sonya called it for Charlotte. We saw backstage, though, Sonya would set up the match, and we saw Adam Pearce and Eric Bischoff, host of the popular podcast 82 Weeks, according to Pat McAfee, basically say, like, I don't know what your problem is with her, but next, we're going to talk to the management and settle this. This makes Adam Pearce look like a dipshit when he's like, I don't know what your problem is with her,
Yeah, and they're supposed to be authority figures.
Yeah. Very weird segment. And again, we're just back on the rabbit hole where it's another match. Just suspend her if she's been abusing her powers for 7 months. Suspend her or something. Why are you going to trust her to not weasel her way out of this situation? Everybody, probably except for Sonya Deville, everybody in the storyline looks like an idiot. Everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Sonya should get demoted and have to work in catering or something. And then Naomi should file a lawsuit and they should garnish her wages. There's a lot of places this story could go, and they're just keeping it in first gear for the better part of my 40s.
Yeah.
Feels that way.
It does feel that way. Seth and Kevin. So did I miss something on Raw that these two are buds now, or was this a new development?
Best friends.
Yeah, they're pretty much a stable now. I mean, I thought this thing was going to blow up at day one, but clearly I think they're going to probably be WrestleMania opponents.
Oh, okay.
Or tag team partners.
Possibly, yeah.
I just can't wait for the turn. I can't wait for the turn. As soon as Kevin Owens said my best friend, I was like, oh, I cannot wait for the turn. I got Jericho and KO flashbacks right away.
Okay, so this tonight, props to the Sami Zayn segment.
Yes.
Of Zayn. But this was holy shit. This was kind of a deep cut. This history tonight, they didn't go into all the details, but it is absolutely true. Before Jackass even existed, Johnny Knoxville did a video where I believe he pepper sprayed himself. He used a taser, and I think he wore a bulletproof vest and shot himself with a 9 or something. And he did this for Big Brother magazine pre-Jackass, and that videotape becoming early viral in the late 90s is what helped start Jackass. And they did show the segment, I believe, on the first episode of Jackass, or a recreation of it. So for Sami Zayn to come out tonight and be like, I'm gonna do what made Johnny Knoxville famous, there was more reverence to the history and continuity of Jackass tonight than WWE has given to their own programming on any given week.
I mean, if he's going to win the Rumble, we need to be familiar with who our Royal Rumble winner is.
You got to tell the story. You got to build these characters. They're giving him a good push. He got a nice pop. He got that segment with Sami Zayn. Got to throw him over the top ropes. Keep playing. You keep playing with Johnny Knoxville. This man's winning the Royal Rumble.
This was great tonight. This was absolutely great. And so Johnny Knoxville coming out and making it that Sammy hadn't gimmicked everything, but he didn't turn it on, and then actually using the cattle prod on him. Good turn of events. Sammy said, I was afraid when they made the comment of like, oh my God, did he like poop his pants? I was like, oh, please don't go there. But Sammy making the noises like the woman who slipped in the grape stomping segment. Like Sammy, like was sounding like his soul was coming out of his body. That's how much pain he was in. And then getting tossed over the top rope. I was gonna put this out there. I won't like Johnny Knoxville is not my pick to win the Rumble, but I will not be upset if that happens. And I will certainly not be upset if Johnny gets a one-on-one match versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania.
I don't know if I'm going to be on the Royal Rumble podcast, but if Johnny Knoxville wins, I'm going to be on the podcast. Whether or not I'm scheduled, I'm going to be on that podcast. And let me ask you guys something. Here's another case for Johnny Knoxville winning. Do you think that Vince McMahon has decided who's going to win the Royal Rumble?
No.
Like 8 days out. No. And even if he has or thinks he has, this man is notorious for changing his mind at the last minute. We're 1 week out for the Royal Rumble. Who's to say that he's not watching that saying like, God damn, look at that reaction for Johnny Knoxville. And this is like, we're in the senile era of Vince McMahon. This could set the stage for Vince McMahon putting the Royal Rumble on Johnny Knoxville. I think that I'm playing.
Not that we're laughing at senility or dementia, but
no. But
that
is what we are in right now.
Vince is in that Logan Roy stage of like maybe not entirely playing with his full mental faculties.
Still wily. Like the thing about the gory mutilation, I think is a very wily tactic at going after AEW. Just creatively, it's ridiculous. Then you get like a senile Vince.
I think Bad Bunny comes back and eliminates Johnny Knoxville because he is the greatest celebrity guest they ever had. So he's not gonna let Knoxville steal his thunder.
We shall see. This was a good segment though, and then followed by Sheamus versus Ricochet, and Ridge Holland is back. Alfred, are you excited?
I could not wait. I didn't know what to do with myself in my life when Ridge Holland was gone, and now that he's back and his nose is healed, my life is back to being great. No, wow. I'm not excited.
Why aren't we doing more with you? Say poor Ricochet, I say poor Sheamus. Like him having these matches with Ricochet every week where he could be a contender for Shinsuke or Roman, but you just have him stuck in this weird storyline that nobody cares about, fighting over a nose. Stop. Sheamus could totally be having amazing matches with your Intercontinental Champion right now, who's backstage just hanging out with the title still around his waist that he has not defended. I'm just saying, do more with Sheamus, do more with Ricochet, and welcome back. What's his name again?
Kidding. You know what? You're kidding. I was doing the write-up for this, and I literally forgot his name. I know they said it, but I was trying to remember it, and I had to go back and Google broken nose Ricochet, and I was like, oh, that's right. Ridge Holland. That's the guy's name.
Oh, my God. We had a lot of who is that tonight, huh?
Yeah, we did.
There was some good stuff on the show tonight. That's the crazy thing. I think that the lower points just kind of flew by. I mean, whatever. But then this main event, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins versus the Usos. They got plenty of time. They put on a great match. There were great stakes in the match, even though, Rollins is facing Reigns, or else you got no Royal Rumble SmackDown Championship match. Great stakes, credible story, and then Roman is just like, I'm going to come in and like take a swing at Seth and cause a DQ, which means that I'm at a disadvantage. Not only is the match definitely happening and I have to defend my championship, but the Usos are barred from ringside. This makes 0 sense.
0 sense, but if we divide it in order, the match up until a certain point was insane good. I was enjoying it, and there was moments in which I thought either one of these teams could win clean, and I will be happy with the result because they were just leaving it all out there. I didn't think the ending makes sense. I didn't think you did Roman any favors with this ending. I wish they would have done what Glenn said and call him out for being scared to face Rollins, and that's why he did it, because you just work so hard to make Roman larger than life, and it just takes stupid little mistakes like this to just kind of like start devaluing him as a champion a little bit.
Yeah, completely agreed. Loved the main event, hated the finish, and I think it left a sour taste in my mouth about this whole show after that.
Yeah. And especially because as we're talking about this, it would have been so simple to make Roman's downfall his ego and saying like, well, I have to have this match or people are going to think that I'm coasting. You know, they could have been like, look what's happening over on Raw. They're not talking about skipping a pay-per-view and taking time off. Like, oh, I guess you're, you know, must be really easy being the tribal chief. You know, they could have done anything to get inside his head. And instead we just kind of got, nope, Roman interferes.
Yeah. And that would have been so complex. That's all it would have taken is an extra 15-second segment, just like you're saying, would have been such a complex nuance to this story. Like, wow, this guy is such a Samoan badass. He doesn't even want people thinking that he's had that title for 500 days, just celebrated his record-setting reign. He doesn't even want people thinking that he's slipping. So he's going to come in there and he's going to disqualify his cousins just so he can show everybody who's still the tribal chief. I would love that story.
Kind of like the end of 3 O'Clock High. Have you seen 3 O'Clock High?
No, actually, it sounds familiar. Who's in it?
Casey Shamasco and Richard Tyson. It's about like a bully, new school, editor of the paper, like talks to him, screws up. The kid has a rap and says, 3 o'clock, you and me in the parking lot, we're going to fight. The entire movie is this kid's day while it's building up to the fight. People are taking
off. I think I've seen it.
Definitely I've seen that.
One of the best 80s high school movies. So at the end, Jerry Mitchell like says, you know, don't beat me up. I'm going to pay you off. Don't beat me up. And the bully is then like, can't believe you're such a coward. Like, you didn't even make an effort. You didn't even make an opportunity. Someone could have given Roman like a little bit of a spiel like that. Well, the Usos are clearly going to whoop their ass tonight. Like, but I can't believe you're just going to coast, man. You know, Roman be like, screw that. I'm fighting. You know, it could have been sort of that. Once he realized he didn't have to do it, then he realized he had to do it.
Now that I think about it, was Fist Fight based on that movie? The movie Fist Fight with Ice Cube?
Absolutely was based on that movie.
It was like, really borrowed from that, right?
Heavily borrowed from that.
Yeah.
Also a very surprisingly enjoyable movie.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I was going to say, remember when Adam Pearce picked Rollins was because Roman is so confident that he say, pick whoever. I don't care. So you could have played on that as well, where it's just like, you said pick whoever, I pick someone and now you don't want to fight them. Like there was so many ways we could have gone about this. And also what I mentioned earlier, the fact that you recently did the exact same finish, you know, to add somebody to a match or for a similar stipulation. It's just like these DQs are just happening too often and make no sense to a story.
Solo Sikoa could have showed up and interfered and said, there's no bloodline without me. You know?
Yeah, we're maybe a few months away from that, but, you know, anything
else would have made sense. Nobody else had a score to settle. Nobody had a reason to interfere. It's, you know what? It's worse. It's worse that they did this after a really great match.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, Seth Rollins mentioned earlier on the show, not a lot of people like me. So you basically could have had anybody that Rollins have feuded with in the past come out and punch him.
Oh, we can't forget Roman Reigns' fire line about when he said, did John Cena write that promo for you with all those excuses? Those people went wild for that.
I love that. I love when Rollins said to him, what are you going to say next? Believe that?
Yeah, they're getting after each other.
They have such history that it makes I have enjoyed their back and forths.
Very natural chemistry.
Yeah, it's a little unfair for Brock and Bobby Lashley because he feels so one-sided. I was kind of glad that they did a video package this week instead of having them interact again, because I want to believe that Bobby Lashley has a chance, but Brock right now is so up here that is that somebody in your waiting room knocking on your door?
No, something. My light just fell down.
Oh, okay. Just making sure.
They're on the couch.
Okay.
So wait in the chat. They're on the couch. Okay, that's all you need to know. This waiting room thing's taking on a life of its own. A lot of people are. It's not ladies and gentlemen.
We're never gonna let it go. We're never gonna let it go.
I know, but people have been reaching out to me on Twitter, and I love it. That's it. If I ever had a talking segment in WWE, it'd be the waiting room with Alfred Konuwa.
So let's talk about Rampage. What a difference a live show makes tonight. No spoilers about how the matches are going to end.
Yes.
Definitely more excited going into watching Rampage tonight than I've been in a long time.
What a difference tonight with this show, and opening up hot with Jon Moxley versus Ethan Page. Alfred, what did you think of this match?
I thought it was pretty good. I thought they might have given too much to Ethan Page. I was surprised with how much offense he got because he took a lot of this match, and the crowd was really into Moxley. So I thought Moxley looked good. He obviously leaned down and in the ring physically. I thought he looked just fine. I was just worried knowing that he's coming back from this very serious issue. And then he was scheduled for GCW, which they do not play around in GCW, especially as their champion. And, you know, it's probably going to be a death match. But seeing what I saw tonight, I was encouraged. I thought Jon Moxley looked good. I thought Ethan Page looked really good. I think he's very underrated. And this is a good opener.
Yeah, I love the match. I love seeing Moxley come out and the intensity is still there. Like, it doesn't seem like he's missed a beat. I did think the match went on maybe a little too long, but I did understand why they gave Ethan Page maybe a little bit more offense. They're trying to build him and Scorpio Sky up. You're fighting a guy that supposedly hasn't been around for 3 months, so you don't expect Mox to just come in and squash him. And I had a feeling this match was going to go the distance because I was expecting the last 2 matches to be squashes or close to a squash match. So I figured the opener was going to go on long. But I mean, as good as the match was, and it was so much fun, what we need to talk about was the stare down after the match, because I audibly screamed when Brian was waiting for Mox. Yes, I want to see it. I want to see it. Give it to me right now. I'm ready.
It was a great return for Mox. I think with Brian, it's going to be amazing. When's the last time these guys faced each other?
Years ago in WWE. In fact, I don't even know if they did, because when the Shield was feuding with Team Hell No, I think they had a couple of matches actually.
Wow.
I sent out a tweet which was picking up steam, which was a picture of Brian teamed up with the Usos against the Shield. And I was like, it's incredible that all of these guys are in storylines with each other right now on different companies, different atmosphere, but all 6 guys are feuding with each other somewhat. I thought it's a small world.
It's a great tweet.
Yeah. This was a really good match. Really, really strong start to the show. And I love that it wasn't, I mean, we knew Mox was going to win, but it was just so nice watching something fresh.
Yeah.
This was followed by Nick Jackson versus Trent Beretta. And so we had Matt Jackson and Brandon Cutler ringside with Nick, Orange Cassidy with Trent. Issa, how is this faction feud holding up for you?
It's not. I feel like these guys have been all fighting each other in a different version of their faction for, I don't know, what seems like months now. And I mean, because their factions are so big, they keep figuring out new ways to make it a 1-on-1 or a 15-on-15 or mixed tag or whatever, but it is still the same people in the same feuds. And I'm a little bit over it. It was a lot of fun in the ring. And they tend to do that. It's just distracting because there's always so many people and so many distractions from the outside when they're fighting each other. But it was a fun match.
Yeah, this is the most WWE style feud in AEW right now. Alfred, what did you think of this?
Yeah, I'm with Issa in that this feud hasn't really captured me. It very much feels like a holdover. I think there's a lot of talented components to this feud that are kind of being wasted just having to go back and forth. And what's really hurt is that the best friends have been dominated. And that was even brought up in a promo by Rocky Romero this past Wednesday. So I had a feeling that Trent was going to win. I will say I love the hell out of this match. And I don't think I've seen a match that was so sparked by near falls in how, like, at the very last second, some fans were even booing because they thought he was late, but he was not. Nick Jackson had one of the best near falls you'll ever see, where he had like 2 and maybe 7.9 out of 8 he kicked out. And then Trent had another near fall right after that really got these people into it, I felt, toward the end. So I think the finishing sequence was really good, which elevated the match.
But yeah, the best friends faction like needs to there just needs to be more consistency in this, specifically when like Orange Cassidy has been involved, because ultimately this is leading to Orange Cassidy versus Adam Cole, right?
Yeah, and well, they're going to have a lights out match, and I think Orange Cassidy might win that one because now they're starting to tell the story of the best friends coming back. That lights out match, quote unquote, won't count. That's how they were able to beat Britt Baker, and she still, became a bigger star than Thunder Rosa. But I do think that they're going to have a lights out stipulation where it doesn't count against Adam Cole's record, so he can still say he's undefeated. But I think Orange Cassidy wins that match.
Well, and
undefeated in singles, like he keeps losing every time he's in a.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
And Beretta getting the pin tonight was good. So, I mean, maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's like you said, Alfred, maybe it's the comeback.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, I don't think they're going to have Orange Cassidy beat Adam Cole.
If Cole wins that match, they got to just move on. I want something different. If Cole wins, it's over. You guys tried. Congratulations. But we got to move on if Cole wins this match.
Yeah, agreed. I just want, I don't know. I want Adam Cole to do more. It feels like he's the one that's cooled down the most out of like the big names that they added onto the roster since All Out.
Well, do you think though? Now, granted, if we look back at Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and the idea of you bring people in and they're teaming together, and you want to have this faction of people that came from one promotion over in another promotion and kind of do whatever pseudo. I don't even know if it's invasion at this point, like more like an interception on AEW's part, but it just seems weird to me. I feel like Adam Cole has been held back from really being a single star. I feel like he barely had singles momentum in NXT before he left.
Oh yeah, well, I mean he's champion for a year on NXT. I mean, well, are you saying the few months? I'm saying, before?
But he was feuding with Kyle O'Reilly right before he left. What I'm saying is he's not getting enough unique storylines, and he's around. Let me put it this way: he's surrounded by the same guys. Is what I mean.
Right. I mean, we're seeing him wrestle every week, and obviously, that he's getting TV time. We're seeing different versions of the match. I just would like a different storyline for him because he's just being involved with the same people for so long.
Yeah, and here he is. It's like you transferred schools and some of your friends transferred schools and you're like, I don't need to make new friends. I'm just going to hang out with, the kids I know from camp and the friends from my old school.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. What you're comfortable with.
Mix it up, Adam Cole. Eat lunch at a different table. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe they're just biding their time until Roderick Strong comes to AEW.
Oh, good Lord.
He was backstage today with LA Knight.
At SmackDown. Story. Yeah, SmackDown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're probably going to do a dark match or main event. I don't know.
I mean, but it speaks to the embarrassment of riches that AEW has, that Adam Cole is and the least successful of their recent acquisitions, in my opinion, for just
I don't know, somewhere.
No, yeah, I wouldn't say.
No,
Andrade is cursing you out in Spanish.
No. I'm thinking. Pardon me. I'm thinking of the Wave specifically. And this is what again. But let me be very clear before someone's going to message me on LinkedIn and take disagreement with this. I'm saying of CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, and Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Okay, of that class coming over, CM Punk. Granted, he was aw shucks Phil for a little too long, but now he's course corrected.
Of course,
Daniel
he's
Bryan
over there freaking squashing Sean Spears. Come on.
Daniel Bryan is choosing to have these very diverse and interesting matches, and with Adam Cole, I just feel like he's constantly in segments with his friends
and girlfriend.
Yeah. It's a high bar if we're going to say who's the worst of these three, because I do think that all three have been successes in terms of how they've translated. When it comes to wrestling and heat and being hot, once upon a time, Hangman Adam Page felt like the hottest guy in the company, and that went on for about 6 months before the pandemic. And then when he came back and was going for the title, he felt like the hottest guy in the company. Since he's won, does not feel very Braun Breaker-ish, where since Braun Breaker won, feels like an afterthought kind of, in that they book him in these little backstage segments, don't really have an opponent for him who's hot right now. The same thing's happening with Hangman Adam Page right now. So it just kind of goes in cycles.
Right.
Yeah. So you heard it there. Send those messages to This Is Nasty at Twitter. Adam Cole is the Hangman Adam Page is the Braun Breaker of AEW.
Yes.
Oh no.
I said that. Quote me on that.
Oh no.
DMs are wide open, man. I always want the smoke. When I have time for it, I always want the smoke.
Now, to the Let It Play Out crowd who's in the chat and saying Cole is having fun, he's ranked number 1. Okay, so Cole versus Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah,
He's ranked number 1 because they reset the ratings, so he's like 2-0. Like, let's not get carried away with the ranking that's like 2 weeks old.
It's like it's January 2nd and you're in an argument with your significant other and you're like, hey, I haven't been wrong all year, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, wasn't when Miro first came before he became God's champion, wasn't he feuding with the best friends?
Yes, they were doing the video game storyline.
So maybe it's the best friends that's the issue. Because I hated Miro during that, and as soon as he moved on from the best friends, it was epic. Just saying. Just finding the similarities here, okay?
Orange Cassidy is the star of the best friends, and he's not even a best friend. And until the best friends start having sleepovers and building pillow forts, I'm just not buying it.
And you know what? While we're questioning everything there is to question, why are they having Beach Break in Cleveland, Ohio in January? Riddle me that.
It's that's a good question. It is in Cleveland, huh? Because usually it's like Miami. Don't they have that in Miami?
In January. First of all, there's not a beach in Cleveland, Ohio, but if you were going to suspend your disbelief, it's the middle of the winter.
Good. Now I'm reminded of a line from the real Roxanne. You know, did you meet him at the beach? Hell's no. In the middle of the winter when it's 20 below. That's what they should do. They should challenge the fight and be like, I'll see you at the beach, buddy. You know, and then
they have Beach Blast like right after winter is coming. It's like, well, which one is it? You can't have the beach and the winter.
Yes. Carreros just putting Raj Giri's daughters through college tonight with these super chats. CM Punk to dethrone Adam Page.
This podcast is gonna be named after him pretty soon here. It's gonna get like okay, so CM Punk to Detroit. Here's what I think is gonna happen with Adam. I'm sorry. Here's what I think is gonna happen with Adam Page. I think Adam Page is going to be next in line for Adam Cole is gonna be next in line for Hangman Adam Page. I don't think it's gonna be CM Punk at that pay-per-view. I think Adam Cole is going to be the guy, but he's not going to beat him because I think that's a good way to set up the Young Bucks and the Elite going against, Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era. Is that the Young Bucks somehow cost him the title, and then Adam Page kind of goes with the Young Bucks, and then they start that story.
It's Justin Rich is saying they're going to have Winter is Coming in Miami, just to course correct.
Yeah, there you go.
So, Alfred, what you're saying is that we need to let it play out.
Yeah. Just give it time, everybody. It'll just play out.
All right. Got it.
Hook versus Serpentico.
They sent Hook.
Not a long match.
Nobody does more with less in this entire business. Nobody does more with less.
What do you do with Hook?
What they're doing.
What don't you do with Hook?
Yeah, exactly. They're doing this guy. They've got everything right. How quick his matches are, the ambiance, the hair, the music is mainstream and dope. Action Bronson is awesome. And like this, everything about this is working.
But where do you go?
Hook is goals.
Yeah.
Where do you go? To the moon.
Exactly.
But you go for the TNT title?
Actually, if you're Hook, you go to the strip club and make sure somebody tapes you there.
Yeah. That helps him. If anything, the fact that came out legitimate, it's not going to hurt his mystique and gimmick. Of course, Hook is up in the club.
It's going to make him more badass. I loved it. Listen, okay, I don't think he should challenge for a title yet, in my opinion. Right?
No, they should take their time with this. Is Goldberg, very similar to Goldberg. Goldberg didn't immediately win that U.S. title. By the time it was time for him to win, I remember me and my friends were clamoring for it for a couple of weeks, and that's when they gave it to you, when you started to really get him on his horse. I don't think that they should rush this. They should take their time before he even has like a real feud, let alone a TNT championship.
Yeah, I agree.
And 1 week he needs to enter to the Blues Traveler song Hook. Just once.
Yeah. What is the tagline they do with Hook? This is how you know that he's getting the handsome devil. What is it? Babyface handsome devil, cold-hearted handsome devil. That's what they said over and over and over and over again. They want you to know that Hook is a cold-hearted handsome devil, right out of the WWE playbook. But listen, he's a top guy.
Yeah, I just get happy when they send Hook.
Yeah.
Carollos saying Hook will cause jealousy for Team Taz, beat every person on Team Taz.
Oh, wow. You can see it. Him and his dad.
Yeah.
Splitting away. He doesn't appear in those segments anymore. Now they don't want to overexpose him, which I think is very true to them. But now he's just looks too good for Team Taz. He's like Michael Jackson in Bad. Remember the first 15 minutes of Bad with Wesley Snipes where he goes back home and he corrects them on the tortoiseshells and they start fighting? That's what Hook is. Hook is Michael Jackson in Bad.
That's an excellent comparison.
Wait, then who's Wesley Snipes?
Will Hobbs is definitely Wesley Snipes. 100%. And then Hook is, who's the third guy? The third guy was
shouldn't he need to be on TV in order to play this part?
Will Hobbs is Wesley Snipes. Those 2 years he disappeared and went to jail. That's what he is.
For tax evasion?
Tax evader. Wesley Snipes. I know how every time we hit the hour 20 minutes, everything just
So wait, in this scenario, Hook is the one going to the sissy school, forgetting who his friends are?
Because he's not appearing with Team Taz anymore, and they're going to be mad, and he's now successful. You know, he's moved ahead of them. That's what the tension was in that Michael Jackson Bad video, which I, to this day, think it should have been nominated for an Oscar, some kind of short form Emmy or whatever you want to give it a nomination for, because that is incredible.
See, I think Off the Wall is probably my favorite Michael Jackson album.
Oh, I love that. Love that.
Yeah.
I mean, Thriller, you can't just cultural phenomenon. You can't deny that. I feel like Bad has perhaps my favorite Michael Jackson song, not written by him.
Which one is it?
Man in the Mirror.
Oh, great song.
Yes. I've left instructions that for my wife. I've said, okay, so you play this at my funeral and you say, Glenn just wanted everyone to take a moment and reflect on what they can do to change themselves. So we must now all close our eyes and bob our heads along with the music like we're feeling it. And they're going to listen to Man in the Mirror in its entirety. I want everyone to start clapping at the end. Like along in time with it. It's going to be a moment.
I love it.
I want to send people away feeling inspired for my memorial service.
That's amazing,
beautiful, Glenn. I'm glad we got this recorded so that we're now, when we submit his final wishes, like, hey, man, he said it to us in a podcast. That's how you know it's real.
I'm a big dangerous guy. Hook.
Yeah, really? Right after we talk about Hook.
Dangerous.
Yeah, huge dangerous guy. Michael Jackson and Teddy Riley, I thought was a match made in heaven. That New Jack Swing with Michael Jackson. I love Dangerous. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's top 3 Michael Jackson album for me is Dangerous. Maybe top 2.
Remember the Time is like that song, and Black and White too, but Remember the Time specifically. Did you hear the mashup somebody did with Remember the Time and then Phil Collins in the Air Tonight, and they're taking the I Remember and the Do You Remember, and they're like mixing them up. It's pretty badass. Yeah. Seek that out. It's very well done.
I love this. My mom's favorite song, Liberian Girl. Nobody gave the Liberian Girls love until Michael Jackson. Nobody sang about my Liberian Girls, and he had Liberian Girls. Shout out to Liberia.
Carollos, Buck99 saying Hook can with Dante Martin win the tag titles.
With I want to see Top Flight return. Dante and Darius are going to be really fun.
I think Hook should be on his own. He's his own entity.
Yes, I agree.
I just think he's larger than life. He don't need anybody by him, He's Hook.
So, this was a short match where Hook beat Serpentico.
Of course it was.
Serpentico? I'm not familiar with Serpentico. And
he's from San Juan, Puerto Rico.
There you go.
Great guy.
Kind of enhanced.
Bet you he plays great dominoes.
So, Hook quick victory via submission, and then QT Marshall's out with the microphone. He calls Hook a delinquent, and Hook suplexed him.
Why is he a delinquent?
Well, he's skipping school to wrestle in AEW.
He does kind of look like a kid. I think that's very funny because QT Marshall's on the older side. And him calling him delinquent, it's a perfect insult to come from QT Marshall to Hook. I thought that was perfect.
True.
So, let's talk about Jade Cargill cutting this promo on Anna Jay, calling her Anna Banana. This was very good.
Yeah, that bitch Slayer. I thought that was a good line for Anna Jay.
Yeah, clever.
I was like, no way you're gonna slay her, but okay, good for you for coming up with that.
Well, and then Anna Jay saying she has a dark side. She's in the Dark Order.
Yeah. And then the funniest part about that, and talking about not knowing about the Dark Order, Chris Jericho, I think it was, he goes, "Oh, she's wearing purple because she loves the color purple." And it's like, no, because she's in the Dark Order and they all wear purple, Chris. Where have you been, buddy?
Loves the color purple.
Because she loves the color purple.
My middle brother, I won't say his name, one time we were talking and I made a reference to something, and I said, like in the color purple, and he was like, I'm a big Prince fan, but I've never actually seen that.
Jesus. It's way off.
Could you imagine? You're going into English class and you're thinking like, I'm not going to read the book, I'm going to see the movie, and I'm doing my report on the color purple, and instead you watched Purple Rain and got up and told that story. I need to write something for a sitcom or perhaps a feature film just to include that scenario.
Yes. Just one episode.
And preferably it should be that they have to come dressed as their favorite character from the piece of work, and he shows up dressed as Prince.
Okay.
That would be epic.
That would
be epic.
So she loves the color purple. Big Oprah fan.
Till you do right by me. Powerful movie.
I never actually saw it.
Really? It's unbelievable. I was too young to really appreciate it. I still liked it kind of when I was young, but it's when you go back and see it as adults, it's really good.
For sure. I think during the 80s, there were kind of the movies that were for grown-ups, and I remember I would go and see them, but I just didn't get it, man. Like I saw Yentl when I was a kid, and I'm like, I don't get this. She wants to be a rabbi, so she's dressing as a boy. Okay, sure, it makes sense. There's a lot of those films that just sort of like you're not emotionally, intellectually equipped to really appreciate. Like I saw The Last Emperor in theaters. That's like 3 hours long about the last emperor of China. And the
new Batman's gonna be I'm gonna be there night one. That new Batman's gonna be 3 hours long. It's like 2 hours 47 minutes.
No, 55 minutes. I thought I saw 2 hours 55 minutes. Yeah,
I'm here for
longest Batman. I got time for that.
Yeah, like me a long superhero movie. So Anna Jay loves the color purple.
Yep.
I love Chris Jericho.
Do you think he just completely Jericho is a pop culture nerd,
it might have been a rib, but no, I think it was just I just don't think he was familiar with the whole gimmick of the Dark Order,
that too. I feel like Jericho chimes in, always has to have something to say, didn't always do the research.
Right.
Yes.
Right. That's either the case or he's screaming. He'll chime in with something that makes no sense, or he's literally screaming.
Yes. He's always at 10, like Bobcat Goldthwait in the 80s.
Yeah. I thought this match was really good for what I was expecting from these two. I know that doesn't sound too good, but I would be lying if I said I was a little worried when they announced that they were gonna wrestle this match. I thought they did well for non very experienced women in the ring. I enjoyed the match.
Yeah.
Me too. I thought it was both of their best match. I think, as much as I think Jade Cargill's talented, I like her in short, dominant matches, regardless of where she gets skill level-wise, because I do think as an elite athlete, she's going to get to the point where she's an incredible wrestler in terms of, the in-ring product, but it's just going to take some time. But even when she does, she should be in these short matches. She should be dominating people. I thought she should have just dominated Anna Jay. Having said that, given the relative inexperience of both women, they killed it. And it was amazing. I thought it was a very good match, especially toward the end where they really kind of Anna Jay rallied toward the end where it's like, oh, what are we doing here?
When they came back from that final commercial break, they put a couple of really good sequences between the two of them. Yeah. I thought Anna Jay for 1 second had it. It was very, very good. I still prefer Jay to be squashing people. There was one point where she just stood in front of Jack Silver and she just towered over him. And it's just like, why is somebody like that having long matches? This woman should be out there just murdering these women in like a minute or two. That's just my preference because of the way that she looks. But outside of that, I really, really enjoyed this match. And, shout out to both women because they surpassed all expectations, in my opinion.
This was good. And I think that it made absolute sense. with Jade getting that win and
Yeah.
retaining the TBS championship via pinfall. And Jade Cargill 25-0. Do you think they had the 24-1 graphic ready to go in case she lost?
I'm glad we didn't get to see it, but I love that they're doing the streak. They're doing the number. This is kind of Tony Khan trolling Eric Bischoff because Bischoff's not a fan of the comparison between Jade Cargill and Goldberg. So it's like, oh yeah, well then I'm just going to do the streak. We're going to make an even bigger comparison. So next week she's going to come out bald. So, they're just doing the comparison with Goldberg.
Stop.
But
Which is funny because I just said how they reset the rankings, but not for Jade, as you shouldn't, because she's undefeated. But I like the idea of making this a big deal because when it happens, when it comes, it's going to feel like a big deal because we're all aware that she's undefeated and 25-0 now.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the geniuses out there. The question is not, is Jade Cargill ready? It's, is AEW ready? Are they not going to F this up? You on the same show, the match before, you took an inexperienced Hook and made him look like the biggest star by hiding his weaknesses, short matches. Is AEW ready for Jade Cargill? That's what we're going to find out. If she fails, it's a colossal ineptitude and failure of AEW, not Jade Cargill. Is AEW ready for Jade Cargill? Let's find out.
Yeah. It was a very good match. It was a very good show. And it's amazing how it being live, the audience.
Because they're not exhausted from watching Dark and then Dynamite and then having to stay for the Rampage taping. It made a big difference in the audience energy. They were in a bigger city too. That always helps. But everything about this show felt different. I really wish that if Rampage doesn't function for them at a negative cost, they would do it live more often.
Yeah. I agree. I cared about this Rampage so much more. Nothing was spoiled. I mean, I had a pretty good idea who was winning most of the matches, but still, this was a very, very good episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, reminded me of the first Rampage. That energy, the live energy, the good matches on this show. I really like this episode of Rampage.
And easy to digest. It went by fast. It was easy to digest, which is what I used to love about Rampage. Which there was a couple of episodes there that felt like they were dragging. Not tonight. That was a fun one.
When you compared it to the just stupid ending of SmackDown and like the lower points of SmackDown, and like this was nice. I kind of like the momentum ending the evening.
Yeah, me too. A little sad though because Royal Rumble being my favorite premium live event of the year. This should be like the fun episodes. These are the last 2 episodes before we go into the Rumble. You just expect to see more, but they don't care about go home shows. Don't even mean anything anymore. I know this wasn't a go home, but I just remember build-ups to the Rumble used to be so much fun. You're starting to feel the WrestleMania air, is coming, but it doesn't feel that way. But I will say I have no clue who's winning the Rumble. Apparently Knoxville, and that makes it exciting. I think both men's and women's, I don't know who's winning it, and that makes it exciting because it's kind of like uncertain. It also makes it terrifying, actually.
Yeah,
no, it really does. That's the appeal, is that they're leaving it wide open. They're pushing one guy to win this thing.
Stop, Alfred. You stop. I cannot wait for the segment where everybody pushes each other over the top rope on Monday.
1 week from Saturday, whether I'm advertised or not, if Johnny Knoxville wins this Royal Rumble, you will see me on this podcast.
Listen, I'm going to be at the Rumble. I will freaking video call you from there.
yeah, I'll be on the podcast with Issa on the phone. You're going to get 2 for the price of 1.
There you go. Well, there you have it, everyone. I feel like tonight we've grown as people. We've shared stories. We've discussed ideas. It's been an eventful podcast. And I thank you all for coming along this journey with us.
Yeah.
It has been magical. With that in mind, everyone, have a great weekend. Issa's at NYC Demon Diva. That's Diva with a 1. Alfred's at This Is Nasty. I'm at Glenn Rubenstien, and we will catch you back here next time on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care, everyone.